video is really something, everybody. I'm very excited Molly's going to share it. How about it, Molly?
So, and just a brief description. So the video is a compilation of a whole bunch of students that are participating in David's virtual clinic and what they've been up to in the clinic. So I will play the video.
You've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, you just remember what your old past said. Boy, you got a friend in me. Yeah, you've got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got trouble, and I got them too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. If we stick together, see it through, 'cause you've got a friend in me. You got a friend in me.
What I want, you've got, and it might be hard to handle, but like a flame that burns a candle, the candle feeds the flame. Yeah, yeah, what I got, full stock of thoughts and dreams to scatter, and you pull them all together, and I can't explain. Oh yeah, well, you make my dreams come true.
I got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric wavy when I turn it on. Off from my city, off from my home. We're flying up no ceiling when we in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off it, moving so phenomenally. You're more like the way we rock it, so don't stop. And under the lights when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well, you already know. So just imagine. Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good, good creeping up on you. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. And ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing.
Every day's not Valentine's, but you make it feel like most of the time. When I'm all alone with you, picking up pieces of my life, sometimes there's ones I just can't find, but they found a home with you. Whoa, I'm not afraid to be alone, but being alone is better with you. Life is better with you. Whoa, whoa. Life is better with you. Whoa, whoa.
I'm so in love with you. Whatever you want to do, it's all right with me.
Life gives you the runaround, you say. You wanna know how much dues must you pay? Well, you can have what you want to. Where there's a will, there's always a way. Keeping your eyes on that mountain top, one step at a time. Don't ever stop. Keep on when your mind says quit. Dream on till you find you're living it. I'll be right by your side. Yeah, baby, keep on. Don't stop till you win your prize. Lean on or a love that's in my eyes. You're a diamond to me. Yes, you are. Shine on.
My life is brilliant. My love is pure. I saw an angel, of that I'm sure. She smiled at me on the subway. She was with another man. But I won't lose no sleep on that, 'cause I've got a plan. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. It's true.
My old friend, I recall.
I used to think maybe you love me. Now, baby, I'm sure. And I just can't wait till the day when you knock on my door. Now, every time I go for the mailbox, I gotta hold myself down. 'Cause I just can't wait till you write me, I'm coming around. Now I'm walking on sunshine. Whoa, I'm walking on sunshine. Whoa, I'm walking on sunshine. Whoa, and don't it feel good? I hope the days come easy and the moments pass slow, and each road leads you where you wanna go. And if you're faced with a choice and you have to choose, I hope you choose the one that means the most to you. And if one door opens to another door closed, I hope you keep on walking till you find the window. If it's cold outside, show the world the warmth of your smile. But more than anything, more than anything, my wish for you is that this life becomes all that you want it to. Your dreams stay big, your worries stay small. You never need to carry more than you can hold. And while you're out there getting where you're getting to, I hope you know somebody loves you and wants the same things too. Yeah, this is my wish.
David and Molly, did you shed a tear this time? Because I sure did the first time I saw that video.
I didn't this time. I was trying to keep the gray screen off and admit people in, so I was a little bit distracted this time.
Right. Yeah, but Molly had control of the screen, so she had to let people in while she had the screen, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we got a great group, lots of people from all over the world, and I see a lot of people that I know. And so, David, how are you doing today?
Today's one of those days, but I'm glad I'm here.
Awesome. And Molly, how are you?
I'm doing good. We've got sun in Washington State.
Oh,
Woo-hoo!
awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. It's a beautiful day out here in Sonoma, California, in the East
Yeah,
San Francisco Bay
what's the big
Area.
deal? We had sun all day.
Yeah.
Okay, tonight we welcome back both David Lichman and Molly Sanders, who've teamed up to create an online learning experience that's receiving rave reviews and has students from all over the world posting videos of what they and their horses have learned. David is, of course, a 5-star Pirelli natural horsemanship professional who's traveled the world teaching clinics and lessons and has released mastery instructional videos in both Liberty training and natural horsemanship for gaited horses. Molly Sanders is a 3-star Pirelli professional with a master's degree in education. And through her Shine a Light virtual learning, Molly is bringing state-of-the-art online video and written learning tools to the relationship-based horse industry. Molly's currently teaming up with David to present the Heart of Liberty series, and enrolled students are already asking for more midway through the series. The pandemic has forced many horse enthusiasts across the world to stay home. It's limited travel and it's shut down the live clinics. Yet, as we have spent more time on our computers at home, we've had to depend on the internet for continued learning. I am pleased to welcome back two veterans of the Bay Area Savvy Players Learning Teleconference, yet this time as a team, to talk about what brought them together, their approach to online instruction, and what their plans are going forward to help educate the world in natural and relationship-based horsemanship. I'm pleased to welcome David Lichman and Molly Sanders.
Yay. Hey, Molly,
Thank
high
you.
five
Thanks.
over here. That's it.
Cool. Well, let's get started with David. Would you give us a brief overview of your new online series, Heart of Liberty, and tell us what you're teaching your online students?
Well, the really all I have to say is Molly.
Take it away.
because she did the whole thing really. What the beauty of this is that I've been trying to share this Liberty Outside the Round Pen material all over the world, a dozen people at a time traveling and doing it. And Molly brilliantly did curriculum development that really makes it easy to access for a lot of people all at once. And that's what we've been doing, is sharing the same material I've been teaching with a few bonus things and a few new things that we've added. But we've tried to recreate the clinic experience, only souped up and supercharged because there's so many of us. I have 5 assisting instructors helping the students with any of their questions, and we get to see a lot more students and horses playing with horses and working with the material that I've been trying to share, because I think it helps people really fundamentally get a great relationship with their horse. If the horse is sticking with you at Liberty, he's probably sticking with you when you're riding, and all kinds of other benefits. So we're gonna say that in addition to just Liberty Outside the Round Pen, we're gonna focus, or we have been focusing on, something we're calling the Heart of Liberty, which is not just the specific tasks and training, but what does the big picture look like? How do you interact with the horses when you're not specifically training? That's maybe even more important. That's kind of the comments we've been getting is, wow, I never even thought about how much time I'm spending with them when I'm not specifically training, that I could be using to get bonded with them in a much stronger way.
Well said.
Awesome. Well, Molly, would you give us a brief overview of Shine a Light virtual learning? Tell us what your tools enable instructors and students to do during the online courses.
Sure. The idea of the virtual clinics really came about because of Linda Pirelli. A year or maybe a little more than a year ago, pandemic shut down the ability for me to host her in person. And so I pitched the idea to her, hey, how about if we put together a virtual clinic? And she said, sure. And it was super fun. And so she really helped me put together this format. And so we did a couple clinics. We did one with Pat, and I knew I loved doing it. And then I actually I'm a former 3-star Pirelli instructor, and I'm now taking this on as a new venture. And so my husband, Brett, I wouldn't be able to do it without him. He's the tech knowledge behind the whole thing. And he helped me come up with the name Shine a Light. So the goal is to find amazing horsemen and women, but horsemen like David, and shine a light on them and allow people to get to know them and experience their teaching in a way that in the past has only really happened in person. Yeah, and the technology allows us to basically create, we call it a portal. And it's an online classroom. So there's all these different videos, and in this clinic, there's 4 different tracks. So people can enter at whatever level they're at. So if they've never done Liberty, there's a place for them. If they've been studying with David for years, there's a place for them. And then they follow a sequence of lessons. And then we can collaborate and get to know each other via a Facebook group. And then once a week, we get to join David for a live session via Zoom, where he answers students' questions and shares some videos from the week. So it's really, it's a special combination. I can't completely put my finger on what makes it so magical, but I think the folks that have been in it could probably, share that there's just something different than just sitting and watching a video on your own. It really does feel like you're a part of something. And the assisting instructors too, David mentioned them, but we've got this amazing team of assisting instructors. So they're on the Facebook group and in the portal answering people's questions so that, they're not having to wait days to find out what to do next. So it's really fun.
Oh, it's awesome. So we're already getting comments in the chat, and I welcome everybody on the call to do that. And one of the first comments that came up was, Molly is incredible at putting on the virtual clinic, putting it all together and bringing the entire experience to life. So, and this is
your $20 check will be in the mail. Yeah.
She also is not giving. She's not giving herself enough credit for the platform. So she initially developed a platform for Pat and Linda, and then she decided that she could do better. So she started over from scratch for this one, and it's even stronger platform that really helps the students find their way around easily, and we can interact with the students through this platform. So she needs to give herself credit for that too. That was a big learning curve.
Well, and then to credit David, it really takes a special person to be able to teach this way. And those of you that know David already know that he's a special person and has such a gift for sharing information. But because I started over, the learning curve was really steep, and I was, a little bit nervous about doing it all, starting over. And because I got to work with David, who has just been so much fun to work with, it made it so much easier. That would have been hard with, a variety of other people I could think of. So,
Thank you, Molly.
You're welcome.
It just, I don't know if we have 10 minutes at the end. I'm going to look for something. I meant to share it with you privately, but I think it would be good to share here, but I actually haven't been able to find it. So I'll look for it while you keep asking her questions, Andrew. Unless it's my turn.
No, wonderful. Then I'll direct this one to Molly and say, how did the two of you meet? And let's go back to when you guys met, because I bet that was interesting. I know I'm 20 years with David, and it was always interesting to tell that story. But I want to hear yours, Molly. And then when you shipped into, how did you decide to work together? Why did you decide to team up on Heart of Liberty? Tell us your story of you and David.
Yeah, so we have not known each other very long. So we crossed paths on the ranch years ago, and of course I've known of him. And then he participated in one of the clinics that Linda and I did, and contacted me in January, I think, just to kind of catch up and see what I was up to. And we had a great phone call. I think it lasted 4 hours. Yeah. And it was just really fun. And I think, we got along really well from the beginning. And David had been working on, many of you have participated in these virtual workshops that David has been doing. And if you haven't, I would highly recommend checking them out. So he was asking me if I would be interested in taking over host, or not taking over, but helping him out with hosting those. And I was just making this decision to go with this virtual clinic thing. And I told him, I'm not really interested in doing that right now, but I would be interested in trying this with you, trying the virtual clinic. And he was willing, and we decided to try out, because the other thing that's special about this clinic is we had 3 students that participated in creating the lessons for the clinic. And David coached all of us. I was one of them. So there were 4 students, including me. And David coached all of us via Zoom. So my husband has it set up where there's a camera in the arena, so he could see us and we could hear him and he could hear us, but we couldn't see him. So again, it takes, so all he had was his words to be able to coach us. He couldn't show anything, he couldn't take a horse. And he was amazing. So we agreed to try it out first to see if he liked it, and if it was a good fit. And the first lessons that he and I did together are actually in the clinic. It was really fun. And I think we both knew that it was a good fit, and we went on with it. So
the prototype lessons went so well that they're actually in the course. we just included those. The lessons that she developed, the virtual clinic she developed with Linda, the 3-week course that I was in, I participated in it, and that's where I got the idea for the workshops. As I said, I really like the idea that they're playing some videos and coaching people. I said, but there's no way I could build a 3-week course, not in my wheelhouse at all. So I just built these 2-hour workshops where I solicited people to send in videos they wanted coaching on, and then we got a couple hundred people to come and watch me coach those people. The video is not live, but the coaching is live. So we have the coachee and me on the screen, and we talk about the video, and I can stop the video and play it. So I pulled that little tiny piece from what she was doing with Linda. And then when she offered me to get the whole enchilada, I said, yes, please.
One of the things that I noticed, because I saw one of the early tapes that the 2 guys put out, Molly with her 3-star status, and for any of you on the call who know or don't know, a 3-star status is a big deal. It really puts you in a high level of not only your horsemanship, but your ability to train others. And Molly carries that, even though she's a former 3-star. And what I noticed was, because Molly is also an educator, she was able to draw out from David, what was going on with your horse. Talk to me, Molly, about how you did that draw out from David, because I find it pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't intentionally do that. I think part of it is, I think both he and I are fascinated with learning. Mm-hmm. And I think that I can't help but think about my students and think about, okay, if I were watching David share this, what would be some of the troubles they'd be having? What are some of the questions that I personally have? So it just kind of, I guess, comes naturally. And David makes room for all my yakking, so it works. It works good.
Well, what I liked was when I was watching her teach, present Linda for the 3-week virtual clinic that she did with her. It reminded me, it was interview style. So Molly would ask Linda questions like, the students are wondering why you spanked the ground behind the horse and not in front of the horse, or whatever it was. And it was interview style. And it reminded me of those early 5-part horsemanship video that Pat did with Linda Patterson at the time in Australia. And she was sitting there by the corral interviewing Pat, and the answers to the questions led to the segments of the videos and stuff. And I said, this is a skill that Molly has, same as Linda had in pulling information out of Pat, which makes it easier. I don't have to have a lesson plan, or I don't have to have an idea of what I'm going to say. I just, she asks the right questions all the time. So it's that's another piece of it that really, when you say that, she pulls stuff out of me, she pulls stuff out of everyone. She knows exactly how to ask the questions from the student's point of view so that it makes it easy for me to share the information.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
You're
Molly.
welcome.
Well, it was magic, and that's what drew me in was I could tell that this was going to be really great because of the way the two were working together, and being a student of all this myself and knowing what it means to be for you guys and what you've invested to become who you are, to be able to connect, and then it's bigger than the two of you, and I really love it.
If we're not careful, it becomes what they call in England a lovey fest. I don't know if we have anyone from England here, but it's, oh, no, it's Molly. Oh, no, it's you, Dave. Oh, no, it's you, Molly. Molly, really, it's you. It's all about you. I did nothing.
I couldn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And then David, you've enrolled some experts from around the world to contribute to the teaching. And you've also have a team of supporting coaches. Tell us why you picked the team and what you asked them to do during the Heart of Liberty training.
Well, some of the material I stole. I didn't steal. I was gifted the material from Katja Schumann and also from Dr. Jennifer Zeligs. So I have, real life Liberty performance experience in Katja, and I have the also real life performance not with horses with Jennifer, but also the art and science of animal behavior as a foundation for what I'm teaching that I learned from her. So those are the two big experts that I draw from, besides, of course, it has a huge Pirelli foundation and the whole thing. And then the assisting instructors, I said, I just want people that have been to my house, help me train my own horses because they know what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So I could have asked Pirelli instructors who know, know very well the Pirelli system and how to implement it. But, I have a style and I have a philosophy that's, do Pat's thing your way is what Pat always says, do it your way. So this is my way. So all of those 5 instructors have been here, spent time here and helped me immensely. And I learned tons from them when they were here. So it makes it extra special. It also relieves me of a lot of worry that I'm not answering the questions because, the questions come fast and furious, but they are jumping in there, handling it. They're actually competing to see who can do more and answer more questions better. And that piece, it works because they've spent time with me.
Oh, that's awesome. I know Ada from Nova Scotia, and she's on the call. We've seen her mastery, and then I've seen a couple of other people on the call, and some have accents from other lands. So I know that they're, in places other than the U.S. Talk about some of those relationships, David, because those are showing up.
Well, for me, you probably don't know this about me. My sister was a foreign language teacher, and she spent all of her spare time traveling around the world to various countries. She lived in Israel for a while. She lived in England. She lived in Turkey, lived in Greece, and she's visited, dozens of countries all over the world. And she wrote 5 books on customs, manners, and traditions for these countries so that you wouldn't make any faux pas when you showed up. Like if you go like this in some countries, it's like giving the finger, right? It's like, say you never point with this finger at somebody, or, it was designed also for business people, like in Italy, never bring up business, never be the first one to bring up the business. It's more socializing, get to know people. Don't ask any business questions. It may be 3-4 hours into the meal before somebody brings up the actual purpose of the meeting. So these kinds of things that you can't really learn, from books. She wrote a book, so you could learn it from a book. So, and we always had foreign exchange students in the house. So I've been fascinated with, foreign cultures all my life. And I lost my sister many years ago, but for my first trip to Sweden, I remember that I had her book and I opened up the pages to the Swedish customs, manners, and traditions. And I was able to actually, get along better because I had, a few phrases and I had a few customs and traditions for people that helped. So this business about, foreign cultures is really, it's kind of deep in my soul just from that.
Oh, that's great. Molly, for those of I'm actually in the class, and I'm using Shine a Light Virtual Learning. Talk about how you leveraged your experience as an educator and how you combine it with your relationship-based horsemanship experience to create and deliver this powerful online system.
Well, like I mentioned, it was kind of by necessity that it came about. But actually, I should go back a little bit, because all along, so when I first started teaching, I noticed a phenomena of when I go and teach a student, often they'd say, I'm all by myself. I feel like I'm, isolated. I don't know anyone. And then I'd go like literally 3 miles down the road to another student and they'd say the same thing, right? And I started going, wow, what if I started getting these people together? So probably similar, Andrew, to your savvy Bay Area players.
Bay Area savvy players, yes.
Okay,
Thank
I
you
knew
for
I
the-
didn't have that.
Thanks for the
quite right.
plug.
Yes. But that need for community and connecting, and my past life, I was an elementary school teacher, and I loved, that was my favorite thing, was getting to know the kids and helping them to connect and getting to know what was important to them and all that kind of stuff. So I started a group in Spokane. Some of them are here, and we called it the MAP group, and it started off with 5 people in my living room. And then it moved to somebody else's house because my house was too small, and it grew. And then Brett and I decided to move over the mountains to the other side of the state. And I was leaving this group of people, and it was really challenging. It was wonderful because I was moving to a whole another side of the state to this other community, but it was really hard to leave that group behind. So I started trying to think of, well, how could I still reach them? And it was, I think, a year later that our internet speed got fast enough that we started to be able to share the meetings that were happening on the other side of the state virtually, so folks in Spokane could tune in. And then I started another program because I noticed that people were having trouble with their auditions, and how do I plan it? How do I film it? How do I stay progressive? How do I, stay motivated? And so we had a snowstorm in Washington State on the west side of the state, which doesn't usually happen. And we got snowed in for a couple of weeks, and I didn't know what to do with myself. So I put together this course that was all virtual, called Levels Up. And it was super fun. And that's where it started to grow. And I started to see this ability for people to connect, even though they'd never met in person. And then when the whole thing happened with Linda's clinic with COVID, and the need to connect became so different. I think we all have felt so isolated this past year, and that's changing, thank goodness, now. But being able to bring that in a time when we did that clinic the end of May, so everybody had been completely locked down all over the world, and we were able to connect. So I like people, and I like putting them together, and I like sharing information, and then my background in curriculum development has helped as well. But it's just what I like to do. I find it fascinating.
Well, it's wonderful because you do what you love, and you'll become amazing at it because you do it over. But you guys are absolutely on it. I was on Saturday night's live session, and I know it's unfortunate a couple people who are on the call didn't get to see the original video.
I can share a link with you that you can
Yeah.
share with
Okay,
me.
let's do that. We'll share a link so people can see it. And of course,
Yeah.
when eventually it will come out, we'll have the tape. However, I was on the Saturday and the Heart of Liberty, and the two of you guys opened the session. It was about 10 minutes video that had been submitted by students from around the world. And the music is always a part of David's clinics. That's one thing I've always loved about being in any of David's clinics. There's always great music. And many of us had tears in our eyes watching the video. Maybe part of it was what we were seeing, and part of it was the music. Tell us what the two of you were feeling, because you were wiping tears away too. And then when you're done with that, David and Molly talk about the music.
Yeah, well, she surprised me with that. I didn't know that was going to happen. So
There's a new one this week.
yeah, I was gonna challenge her that she has one day to get another one ready, but that's good. Yeah, it reminds me, first of all, when you talk about the music, this is really a piece that we didn't put in this in this virtual clinic. It's just occurred to me when you said that I didn't focus any musical stuff in there. So maybe when we do it in October, we'll put a piece in there for the music. We're going to do the course again in October, the same course. There's so much information in those 4 tracks that, you know, anybody who took it this time can easily take it again and find new information in a different track. And plus, I think we're going to add some stuff about music. It just reminded me. But I didn't. So there is not a lot of music in it at the moment. But of course, I was so I especially, you know, the Al Green hit me when you started playing Al Green. Then okay, now we're in, that's my groove right there. So, but just seeing the students, you know, that was more what brought the tears to my eyes. Was even more than the music, was that to see the impact, really. You know, it's one thing to, you know, to present the lessons and to, you know, to talk at people, but to see the feedback of all these people all over the world having fun with boomerangs and getting their horses to jump and circle and seeing them joyful about it. That's, you know, there's a reason for what we do, and that is, you know, we just try to bring a little joy to people, people's lives. And the horses, you know, the horses are so challenging that instead people get frustrated. So we have to thank Pat Pirelli for making it so that we don't get so frustrated. And then on top of that, I like to say, okay, what can I do that brings some joy to people's lives you know, through this horsemanship and through these horses?
Absolutely. Well, there was a point. Okay, well, shifting from the music, and we could spend a whole evening on it because I love the choices you guys make. There was at one point in Saturday's session when you asked the participants to log into an online tool that allowed us to enter answers to 2 questions. And the size of the words got bigger if more people wrote the same answer. And the answers showed up all together. I actually was so enthralled by that, I captured it and put it on the flyer because it was one of the questions, I think, was, what does your horse, you know, think of you? And it was really interesting to see what people thought their horse would be thinking of them. I'd like you guys to tell us about this tool and what inspired you to use it, because it's very cool.
It's a tool. It's actually thanks to my husband again, the tech guy. It's a really easy, anybody, you know, could use it. It's called Menti, MENTI.com. And it's a collaborative or an interactive tool so that you can ask a question, and it could be a question that will be answered in graph form, or what you were referring to, Andrew, was the word bubble. So it's just really cool because, like, I can see these faces watching. Like, if Kathleen answered and Sandy answered, their answers are going to pop up in real time. So it just, because the one thing that's challenging about doing this virtual event is, you know, there's a large group of people, and how do you set it up where people feel like they're a part of something, that they're being seen and they're being heard. And it's just it's a little way to do that. And it's fun. And, you know, and then David gets information right away, and it's just kind of a fun little tool.
Yeah, I love the way that it pops up, like the words pop up on the screen, and then, you know, the more people that choose that word, the bigger it gets, and you see, like, swelling up, you know, the most popular words, but you see all the words, relative size to the relative frequency of the answer, and I love that. And the 2 questions came from basically from my friend Amy Fisher. Some of you maybe have met Amy Fisher. She used to help me with clinics. She's also has a degree in education, and she was working in experiential learning for a long time, doing ropes courses, those kinds of things. So she would come and help me with the classes. I'm pretty sure some of you here have met her, but these 2 questions are typical of what she would come up with. So I credit her with the 2 questions. The first question is, give me one word that describes how you feel about your horse, or what describe your horse to me in one word. And everybody very quick to answer that one. And then you flip the switch and you say, okay, give me one word that your horse would use to describe you.
Mm-hmm.
And so this, all of a sudden, people, oh, this is serious. And you have to take all of a sudden, very quick. It's happening very fast. What's your one word answer? What's your first thought? And it can be very revealing.
No, and it was fascinating. David, just we're talking about the music and we're talking about key phrase, and it coming for me. I want to cover it. I put out a memo today about Marianne Kennedy's video that she wrote with you called Liberty. And for those of you who haven't seen the video, it's available on YouTube. You can look it up, called Liberty. What it is David wrote a lot of lyrics, and his student, Marianne Kennedy, who was also a Grammy-nominated songwriter, and I think she bought her ranch with her sales of her music because she's really successful, put together this Liberty. And in it, there's a line, and the line is, the best place on earth for you to be is with me. And I thought it was fascinating when I first heard Liberty, and I play it over and I get to use Marianne Kennedy music with my videos. However, David also uses that many times in reminding us what he's trying to achieve. David, how did you get that inspiration of the best place on earth for you to be is with me?
Yeah, well, that was Marianne. So here's what happened. I said, I want a song for this Liberty Outside the Round Pen product. I said, can you write me one? And she said, sure. She said, feed me something. Give me something to work on. So I thought for a minute and I said, who is the person I need to be for you to want to stay with me?
Mm-hmm. Good.
And then that's the main verse of the song. And then she does claim that I gave her a bunch of other lines, but I don't remember what they were. And it could have been that one was the best place on earth for you to be is with me. But I think she just took it and her amazing talent. She said, I have to wait for the muse to strike, right? Like she would put all these phrases and concepts about liberty together. And she called me the next morning. She says it came to me during the night, and she scratched it on her guitar and played it for me, and it was done. The next day, she went into the studio, recorded all the parts with the engineer. Also, played instruments. So the two of them put it together, and then within 3 or 4 days, it was mixed. So it was like
wow,
bang. The video, I had her sing the song. She was singing the song to the track that was playing in the arena, and they filmed her doing different things and different angles as she sang the song over and over again. And then I had an editor stack up all those videos and pull the different pieces that matched the lyrics for the video. And then we interspersed videos of me doing the same thing she was doing with her horse. So it was kind of cool. It was very cool effort, but very fast. She when it hit, it was done within a week.
Oh, it's marvelous. And the thing is, I still go back also to David, how inspirational you're playing with 3 horses at the same time. That was the original team. And I know you've had several teams since then. Well, since this really is a lot about liberty, let's go back to those teams and let's talk about, because they're amazing on that video. They help take that video to another level, is what you're doing. So can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, it started a long time ago. I always had this passion for circus, and I met Katja Schumann from the circus, and she helped me with some of these concepts. But my thought was, I would like to do synchronized liberty behaviors like you would see in the circus without a round pen or a ring curb out in the open. That was my idea. And then, we started to pull horses together when Hansa came here in 2001 or 2001 in that time frame. And we started playing. We had 4 horses at that time, and we were discovering together what worked and what didn't work. And we had just developed this thing, like, if you have 4 horses running and you want them all to jump, if you have enough barrels, they all will jump because it's too hard to go around, right? And then we developed this formula. So the minimum for easy access, 4 horses to jump, you need 5 barrels. So we would have like 8 barrels. And that actually has filtered into the Heart of Liberty virtual online clinic, because we talked about, put more barrels out there and then reduce them slowly. But he would he would run and jump over the barrels, and these 4 horses would be following him, and and he would turn around to look to see. And his next line to me was, "Don't turn around to look." Because it slows you down, and all of a sudden there they are coming at you, 4,000-pound horses. So that was really the start of it, and trying to develop these synchronized maneuvers without having the benefit of a ring curb or a round pen, and that's really how it started.
It's awesome stuff, David. Molly, switching back to you, are you currently, or are you planning to work with other instructors to bring their savvy in through Shine a Light virtual training?
She doesn't have time. She's only working with me.
Right. I've got an exclusive contract. So David and I are working on, like David mentioned, we're going to offer this clinic, the Heart of Liberty clinic, again in October. We hadn't planned to do that. Partly it's because the folks in the clinic were asking, are you going to do this again? When are you going to do this again? And so we are going to do it again. And we'll get information to you, Andrew, so you can share it with folks. But Dave has been working on a project, which I won't give away, but it's brilliant. It's needed in all areas of horsemanship. So it's not just in Liberty, and you
can give it away, because these guys have been in my classes, a lot of them.
Oh, okay.
It's the material around that focuses around teaching the horses to put their heads down, and what I did is expanded it to this huge 5-part project, which, because of the size of it and my lack of ability to organize a curriculum, it's been sitting in the digital vault here for 2.5 years. So Molly's agreed to help me make it happen, and then we'll make a course out of that, and also a product, I think. But I encourage her to bring other instructors in. I was trying to figure out how she could get Christopher Dahlgren to come in. And I haven't. He showed up the other night, and I did a little, Jennifer, she's there. What do we call it? We called it a lightning round. And he showed up, and he's a remarkable individual. And just to figure out, how we would capture how he teaches beginners, which is really what you would need, because nobody in the United States is doing this academic riding correctly. Anyway, there's a lot of people trying to do it and doing, okay, but this guy is masterful. So if we could get him involved in one of these Shine a Light virtual clinics, boy, I would take it for sure. That was one of the things we said, let's see if we can get Christopher to coach you with your horses and put that in. And I said, yeah, right. I'd love to do that. So
to coach David.
Yeah. So I'm answering for Molly, but the answer is yes. She wants to have other instructors.
Yeah, and I do have some people that are lined up that are potential, and I can't share about it yet. I'm really excited about where this can go, and just to be able to connect people. One of the ideas that I had that I shared with David early on is there's amazing horsemanship out there, right? And there's some people out there, and I've met a couple of them recently, who have just been going their whole lives, learning with horses. They're amazing at what they do, and they're happy to just do clinics. They haven't made a name for themselves. They don't have a product. And so I'm really intrigued with bringing some of them into the light and learning from some of them. And the two that I'm thinking of are both in their late 60s and then early 70s. So being able to share their life's work while they're here is intriguing to me. So there will be more coming. I know David and I, it's just easy and it's fun and we're enjoying it. So, and people want it. Like there's so many, and all in the chat window, I keep seeing like people are touched with what David shares, and he has a way of sharing the tiniest things that make a huge difference. So we'll definitely be doing more.
Well, it's masterful, and I've been so moved by it. I know there are people on the call right now. We have a trainer that David actually introduced me to 20 years ago. Her daughter is in the session. Her name's Bo Man, and she's absolutely spectacular at training. However, she's never had anybody shine a light on her. And when you just went through that, Molly, I'm going to tell you, I just got goosebumps around this thought that you're going to shine a light on people that deserve to be heard. They deserve to be seen. And I think you've created a mission here in Shine a Light that deserves to exist and is going to make a difference. So I congratulate you on that. And I'm so excited that you love it. Molly, what's you most proud of for Shine a Light? And what would you share for your vision of the future for Shine a Light?
Oh my goodness. What am I most proud of?
Well, I'll answer for you, Molly.
Okay, good. What am I most proud of?
Yeah, struggling. So that in this past year, we have seen, sprouting up like weeds, virtual clinics and people scrambling to develop course curriculum and all kinds of stuff. And there's online horse fairs. I mean, I'm in like 6 online horse fairs because everybody's trying to scramble to find a way. And I think, I would suggest that Molly be most proud of the fact that this is the real deal. This is the pinnacle of bringing information to people in a way that they can digest it and enjoy it and have fun. And it feels like you're, in a group and having camaraderie. You mentioned earlier that, it started out with your group of students in your area. Did you ever know Samantha Moore from Portland? She's not too far from you. She's married to Glenn Moore, who's a very famous bass player. Played with the Paul Winter Consort. So she was teaching, and she had a bunch of, we'll just say, middle-aged women that she would teach every week. And this group grew and grew, and she decided to call it her menopause.
You told me that. Yes.
So, from the menopause to Shine a Light, we've grown now to it. I think you keep talking about shine a light and shining a light on these people. I think it's time for me to hog the meeting for me. It might take 10 minutes for me to read this to you. I've shared this at hundreds of clinics, but I've never shared it with Molly, and it really applies to her more than anything else. It also comes from someone who is from your area up in the great Northwest. It comes from a book by Robert Fulghum. So he's from Washington. The book is called "It Was on Fire When I Lay Down on It." It's a series of short stories, and this was a particular story about the fireman came in to rescue a guy, and the bed was burning, and they said, "How did it start?" And he said, "I don't know. It was on fire when I laid down on it." So, but the book you might know him for, what he's more famous for, is one called "All I Really Need to Know I Learned in
kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
Yes, that's what I do. Yeah, go ahead, David.
Yeah. So this is an excerpt from his book, and he's talking about a seminar that he went to in Greece, put on by this guy Papadopoulos. So this is his discussion of what happened at this meeting, and the title of it is called "What is the Meaning of Life?" Are there any questions? An offer that comes at the end of college lectures and long meetings, said when an audience is not only overdosed with information, but when there is no time left anyhow. At times like that, you sure do have questions like, can we leave now? And what the hell was this meeting for? And where can I get a drink? The gesture is supposed to indicate openness on the part of the speaker, I suppose. But if in fact you do ask a question, both the speaker and the audience will give you drop dead looks, and some fool, some earnest idiot always asks, and the speaker always answers by repeating most of what he has already said. But if there's a little time left and there's a little silence in response to the invitation, I usually ask the most important question of all. What is the meaning of life? You never know. Somebody may have the answer, and I'd really hate to miss it because I was too socially inhibited to ask. But when I ask, it is usually taken as the kind of absurdist move. People laugh and nod and gather up their stuff, and the meeting is dismissed on that ridiculous note. Once and only once, I asked that question and got a serious answer, one that is with me still. First, I must tell you where this happened, because this place has a power of its own. Near the village of Gonia on a rocky bay island of Crete sits a Greek Orthodox monastery. Alongside it, this is the part I realized that I had cut out before. I'll read it. Alongside it, on land donated by the monastery, is an institute dedicated to human understanding and peace, and especially to rapprochement between Germans and Cretans, an improbable task given the bitter residue of wartime. This site is important because it overlooks the small airstrip where Nazi paratroopers invaded Crete and were attacked by peasants wielding kitchen knives and hay saws. The retribution was terrible. The populations of whole villages were lined up and shot for assaulting Hitler's finest troops. High above the institute is a cemetery with a single cross marking the mass grave of Cretan partisans. And across the bay on yet another hill is the regimented burial ground of the Nazi paratroopers. The memorials are so placed that all might see and never forget. Hate was the only weapon the Cretans had at the end, and it was a weapon many vowed never to give up, never, ever. Against this heavy curtain of history in this place where the stone of hatred is hard and thick, the existence of an institute devoted to healing the wounds of war is a fragile paradox. How has it come to be here? The answer is a man, Alexander Papaderos. Sorry, I got his name wrong before, Papaderos. A doctor of philosophy, teacher, politician, resident of Athens, but a son of this soil. At war's end, he came to believe the Germans and the Cretans had much to give one another, much to learn from one another, that they had an example to set. For if they could forgive each other and construct a creative relationship, then any people could. To make the lovely story short, Papaderos succeeded. The institute became a reality, a conference ground on the site of this horror, and it was in fact a source of productive interaction between the two countries. Books have been written on the dreams that were realized by what people gave to people in this place. By the time I came to the Institute for the summer session, Alexander Papaderos had become a living legend. One look at him and you saw his strength, intensity, energy, physical power, courage, intelligence, passion, vivacity radiated from this person. And to speak to him, to shake his hand, to be in the room with him when he spoke was to experience his extraordinary electric humanity. Few men live up to their reputations when you get close. Alexander Papaderos was the exception. At the last session, on the last morning of a 2-week seminar on Greek culture led by intellectuals and experts in their fields who were recruited by Papaderos from across Greece, Papaderos rose from his chair at the back of the room, walked to the front where he stood in the bright Greek sunlight of an open window and looked out. We followed his gaze across the bay to the iron cross marking the German cemetery. He turned and made the ritual gesture. Are there any questions? Quiet quilted the room. These 2 weeks had generated enough questions for a lifetime, but for now there was only science. No questions? Papaderos swept the room with his eyes. So I asked, Dr. Papaderos, what is the meaning of life? The usual laughter followed and people stirred to go. But Papaderos held up his hand and stilled the room and looked at me for a long time, asking with his eyes if I was serious and seeing from my eyes that I was. I will answer your question. Taking his wallet out of his hip pocket, he fished into a leather billfold and brought out a very small round mirror about the size of a quarter. And what he said went like this. When I was a small child during the war, we were very, very poor and we lived in a remote village. One day on the road, I found the broken pieces of a mirror. A German motorcycle had been wrecked in that place. I tried to find all the pieces and put them together, but it was not possible. So I kept the largest piece, this one, and by scratching it on the stone, I made it round. I began to play with it as a toy and became fascinated by the fact that I could reflect light into dark places where the sun would never shine. In deep holes and crevices and dark closets, it became a game for me to get the light into the most inaccessible places I could find. I kept the little mirror, and as I went about growing up, I would take it out in idle moments and continue the challenge of the game. As I became a man, I grew to understand that this was not just a child's game, but a metaphor for what I might do with my life. I came to understand that I am not the light, nor the source of the light, but the light, truth, understanding, and knowledge is there and will only shine in many dark places if I reflect it. I am a fragment of a mirror whose whole design and shape I do not know. Nevertheless, with what I have, I can reflect light into the dark places of this world, into the black places in the hearts of men, and change some things in some people. Perhaps others may see and do likewise. This is what I am about. This is the meaning of my life. Then he took his small mirror and holding it carefully, caught the bright rays of the daylight streaming through the window and reflected them onto my face and onto my hands folded on the desk. Much of what I experienced in the way of information about Greek culture and history that summer is gone from memory. But in the wallet of my mind, I carry a small, round mirror still. Are there any questions?
Wow.
So this is exactly, when she named it Shine a Light, I thought I need to share this with Molly. This is exactly what you're doing. You're taking, I love this expression. I am not the source of the light. I merely reflected into the dark places. So thank you, Molly, for that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you. I haven't
Well-
been read to in a long time. That was fun.
No, that was fabulous. And
Yeah.
and I'm seeing comments coming up on the screen. Great story. David, I love that. I'm crying. Several people on this call, you drew tears. And
Yeah, well, it was hard for me not to cry when I read it, and I've read it hundreds of times.
yeah,
I
fabulous.
realized I was trying to figure out which parts I had cut out to make it shorter, and that was the original. So you got the whole original with nothing cut out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. And David, I think the follow-up question following that is,
What is the meaning of life?
well, I'll hold that one for the end.
Thank you.
However, David is a master horseman. You're a world-traveled instructor. You discovered some amazing people, like you brought on to the United States. How would you compare teaching the live clinics versus the virtual online teaching experience? Do you have a preference, or are you going to go hybrid?
That's a good question. Okay, so what's missing from this experience is the actual gathering of people. For me, it's cultural. I get to go to Belgium and try to figure out how to understand the people that are speaking Belch. They speak
French, I think.
it's Flemish. It's called
Flemish,
Flemish,
okay.
because there's a lot of phlegm involved. No, it's true. There's a lot of sound there. But my Hebrew studies also have a lot of stuff in it, so it made me familiar. But it's being able to visit the people of different cultures. I get to go to Poland. I got to go to 2 years ago. I got to go to Auschwitz, which was extremely moving for me. That part, you get on an airplane, you go, the leaving home and leaving the horses, leaving the family, it's heartbreaking. Just drag yourself to the airport. Oh my God. But once you get on the plane and you start eating, drinking a little champagne, relax into the 14-hour flight and watch a couple of movies, and then you get there and everything is a lot of fun. So that part, is I miss, seeing the people and being with the people in that way. What we don't get from the live clinics is that, I'm helping people, a dozen people at a time. It's like, oh my God, it's, like sands through the hourglass. It's there's no way to get this information, which I think is valuable, to more people all at once. And that's what we're doing now is brilliant at that. It's just and you don't really get the sense that it's actually working till you see those videos, and all of a sudden you realize, I just reached a few hundred people with all that information in 3 weeks. Now, of course, it took us 3 months to create the course. That's just 3 weeks of doing it, but then I did in the last 3 years. I reached more people. And I've traveled all over. I've been to Australia, I've been to Europe, I've been to Central America, I've been to South America, but I reached more people. So that's the benefit. And my gut feeling is that this is the way to share the information, and then the travel becomes a bonus. So like I might go to Belgium, for example, and I might just call up a few students and say, hey, you guys were really inspirational to me. Let's get together and do something, and maybe not even charge them, maybe just say, this is a visit where we can bring like minds together and create new things, and not have to, structure it, basically not have to structure it as a job.
Yeah. I remember when I first went to Pagosa Springs, and besides the Savvy conferences, which were a trip in itself, the 3 or 4 days, you had to really organize your life. to go 3 weeks. And then from California, there's an extra 2 or 3 days on the both sides. So it was a month. I took a month off and then I show up. And it was an amazing experience. However, obviously we couldn't do that at all for this year.
Yeah, but you're right. You're right. Karen Rolfe pointed out to me that the cost of doing a live clinic for the student, you're going to give up, you have to travel there, you have to pay for your horse boarding, you have to pay for your horse transport, you have to pay for a hotel, you have to take time off of work. And it's so, taxing on you to get all that done that you don't maybe get the best out of it. And usually it's only for 3 days, because to take 3 weeks would be impossible. But here we have the opportunity where you don't have to do any of that. You just sit, you're at home and you get all the benefits without having to, pressure yourself. You can do, you can go out for an hour a day, because in these clinics also, we press so much information. Pat Pirelli used to tell us, teach one thing in a day. If you have 2 sessions a day, morning, afternoon, 2 things, one thing in the morning, one thing in the afternoon, that's it. Don't try to push all this information on people, because you don't have that much time and it won't sink in. So really go deep instead of going wide. Here we get to do both, because we go deep into the subject, but we have 3 weeks. It's like a luxury.
Wonderful.
And at minimal cost, at like 1/10 or 1/20th the cost of what it would cost you to go to a 3-week clinic. Oh my God, it would be cost prohibitive.
Oh yeah, it was thousands of dollars back 20 years ago. And then that didn't, you're spot on. I had to, drive my horse there. We had to get hotels. We had, all those expenses. And to think now that, it's interesting because Molly talked about, the snowstorm that hit her and it caused her to get creative. Unfortunately, I can't remember the mathematician's name, and perhaps David, you might, because I know you're really into math also.
Lobachevsky.
No, it's a gentleman who during one of the pandemics invented calculus because he couldn't go to college. He couldn't go anywhere. So he invented calculus.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Okay, well, I have to look. One of the deans from one of the schools I graduated were trying to raise money, and I read that. However, the point is it sometimes when life gives you lemons, you have the opportunity to do something special. We've all been forced at home. We had to do something different. And, Molly made lemonade out of lemons of this snowstorm. And you guys have made, lemonade, fabulous lemonade out of this pandemic. And we're going to come out of it. I mean, we're going to look forward to, there will be a time when we don't have to, we're getting our shots and we're going to travel again. However, I think, and I'm going to make a bold gesture, and I'm going to ask you to just comment it, or a bold comment. I'm going to say, I believe that hybrid is here to stay. We're absolutely going to continue to leverage the work that people like you have done. And we're going to still go out and travel and see everybody. And I believe that the revolution in horsemanship is going to be better for it, because we have both modes of communication. And I would love my 2 experts on the panel to comment on my bold statement.
Who are they?
I think you're.
Oh, what experts?
I think you're spot on. Heather asked a similar question. When we get to go back to having in-person events, will the virtual clinics still exist? And I absolutely think they will. And they can't replace the in-person event. There's something really wonderful about being there in person. But like David said, there's some challenges to it. You can only take in so much information in a day, right? And usually by lunch we're fried, and then we go back after lunch and we're trying to take it all in. And then I don't know about you guys, but I'll get home after an event like that and I'm practicing, and then a few days go by and I'm not practicing as much anymore. And then I can't really remember what were the 3 things that I was supposed to be practicing, you know what I mean? And then, but it's cool because then you go to another one. But with the virtual learning, I think that's going to fill some gaps in a way that just videos don't. because you need that feedback, and you need the connection and the knowing that you're doing something with a group of people. Humans are built for connection. So I think you're right, Andrew. I think it's going to survive.
I love it.
Yeah.
David, you want to comment on that? Yeah.
Yeah, well, it occurs to me that even in the live clinics, I started not just doing morning and afternoon, but I started doing half the morning and half the afternoon for each group of students. Because if you think about it, if the morning is, let's say, 3 hours long, afternoon is 3 hours long, 6 hours with your horse is going to hate you, no matter what you're doing. Even if you're just letting him eat grass, he said, why are you still tied to me? Why can't I just go? So I started breaking it down and saying, with my dozen students, 6 of you will go from 9 to 10:30, and 6 of you will go from 11 to 12:30, and then we'll have lunch, and we'll do the same thing in the afternoon. So the maximum time with your horse in a day is 3 hours, and it's spread out across the whole day. Because I remember, and it's more fair to the horse, I think, to have that. So in this way, you can do it an hour a day for a week instead of 7 hours in one day, in this virtual format. And it just occurred to me that not only can it be hybrid in terms of, okay, sometimes I'm teaching live and sometimes I'm teaching virtually, but I think, Molly and I could probably figure out a way to incorporate an actual clinic into the virtual clinic.
Yeah, there you go.
That I could take a weekend and say, in week 2 of the 3-week virtual clinic, David is going to be here, and we're gonna broadcast the whole thing. Tune in when you like, and see, him actually with people doing stuff. I can see that not only just hybrid in terms of doing both, but actually combining. And or maybe just a morning live session. Let's go visit David at his house, and his interns playing with his horses this morning. That's part of it can be both. That there's a live component and a virtual component within the virtual clinic. So yeah.
Oh, it's spectacular. I sense that the two of you are actually thinking about it in the moment, and that you're creating, and I love it. I know when we go back to, and Molly pointed out at the very beginning, we have very savvy players, and it started out with a couple of people that would get together and get a play day. And then it got bigger and bigger. And of course we had an instructor. We had Sandy Parker, who was always there. And then I connected with you, David, you connected with, we started bringing stays on. California was a place where you could get a lot of it. And then what happened to us was you couldn't travel to get to a meeting, because we eventually started to have a meeting once a month. And so it became prohibitive, because people literally couldn't get there and then get back home and still get up for work the next morning. And so I had to go to Zoom, and thankfully Farrah Green over at International Horsemanship Association had turned me on to the power of Zoom. And that's how we started the learning teleconferences. And then we were a year ahead of it in sense that I was struggling. Could I get everybody to come to a Zoom? And well, of course, once the pandemic hit, boom, everybody's on Zoom. And now we're just, you think about where we've been in a year. And I look at what you guys are doing, and I'm like, I'm just so amazed. And I'm excited. And I'm going to put it back to you again about your vision of the future, because your positive vision of the future is going to have us also excited about continuing this revolution. And that's that those of you with the skills to continue to bring your creativity, not only your horsemanship skills and your excellent ability as a teacher and your educational background, Molly. And then David, your passion, your creativity, your own experience as a long-time and highly valued worldwide clinician. I think you guys are onto something really big. And I chose during Saturday's session, I said, holy crap, I got to get these guys on the next BASP Learning Savvy Conference. I'm so glad you chose in. It's been a spectacular evening, and I do want to give a little bit of time for questions. But I want to go back to you guys for at least one more semi-lightning round of what do you see in the future? Because I think this we're onto something big.
Andrew, I'm 70. The future is tomorrow. If I survive tomorrow, I'm one day ahead of where I am today.
Well, back to you on that. Remember, one of my previous, I released the Bay Area Savvy Players Learning Teleconference from July 2020, and our guest was 93. He's now 94.
That's true.
And my understanding is he's planning to accept my invitation to do another one in the future.
Dr. Miller, you're talking about
Dr. Miller,
yeah,
94
yeah.
years old. So yeah, 70, David. I'm of course, I'm going to turn 60 this year.
A youngster.
No, we're all kids. We're kids,
Yeah.
David. You too. Dr. Miller's our reference. 94. He's still working. He's still writing. And so I fully hold you capable, David, of being still
you.
doing this for a long time. So
Thank you. Thanks for the confidence.
Yeah, but I appreciate your humor, David, but I do really want to direct back to you because I think this is a spectacular moment where the two of you guys can tell us
Well,
where do you see this going?
Well, for me, I'm going to focus on the horsemanship side, and that I think that the revolution in horsemanship has continued to revolve into this concept of being even more mindful of what the horses are needing from us. So for me, I want to spread the message that that we need to look at things every day from the horse's point of view. Like, how is he feeling today? What would he like today? Can I satisfy his needs, wants, and desires before I try to get him to satisfy mine? And that's kind of my mantra of what I would like to spread around the world. And having this venue is great, but I'll focus on the message.
Wonderful. And Molly, over to you. I'm looking forward to your answer to this one.
So what do I see for the future?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe you didn't feel what I'm feeling, but I think we're at a big moment because what you guys are doing, the IHA is doing great things. A bunch of people are doing great things. I'm really connected with what you've done. Tell me your vision of the future of online virtual learning.
Well, I know that there will be more like what we've put together. And then one of the things that I am really excited about is hearing from people in the clinics, what's worked for them, what hasn't worked for them, and then pulling that in and creating something new. So I know that in the future, it will look different based on who participates in the clinics. So it's really organic and adaptive, and I think it's an exciting thing that we've got going.
Absolutely, and I think you're being very humble because you really are onto something. And what you're saying, you're talking about a spirit of continuous improvement, and this system is really good because you're creating a product, you're creating a process, it can be repeated, and so it is going to get better. And I'm so glad that I am just moved tonight by the fact that you two have committed and said we're in for the long run. We got some more things to do. David's got something up his sleeve, and those of you that are on the call that are also relationship-based horse professionals, she's talking about shining a light. Speak up, because we need to be hearing from more people, and these two are a great reference.
I have to just interject that I think it's really funny that the name of the company is Shine a Light, and we're having trouble with lighting. I will disappear in a moment here.
Well, yeah, I saw that. I know.
You need the backup power.
Yeah,
Get the generator going.
My husband's running frantically around trying to get the lighting to work, but anyway.
It's okay.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah, it is funny, but Shine Light. There was a question that came up.
I can join you. I can just cover my light.
Everybody's going dark. Okay, so let's see. A comment that I had was, how do I assess my horse to the extent, to know what she might need? So that's a really good question. How do you connect into to what you're doing?
Well, there's a horsemanship piece, which we understand what their basic needs are, which is safety, comfort, play, food, and in that order. So we can assess that. Is he feeling safe? Is he feeling comfortable? Is he having the kind of play that he enjoys? So, I mean, the basics are there for us already described, but on an individual basis, you just hang out with them and you start to feel, you can feel when something changes for them or when they want something, they make it known to you because they know that you will provide it. So they start to ask. So there's also this idea about learning how to learn. The animals learn how to learn, so they become more engaged in the learning process. So if you have a learning system, whether it be, pressure and release, or whether it be positive reinforcement, target training, bridge and target, there's a system. And once they get tuned into the system, they know how to learn and they can get excited about the learning. So they will ask you pretty clearly what they want.
Wonderful. Well, I want to give a couple of more opportunities if people would put in questions. So a little bit. Molly, tell Brett to get the fast flashlight. Shine
I
a
wish
light.
I could.
Yeah.
I need to film a video of what's happening in this room.
Yeah. So when we did, I have a friend. Her name is Suzanne. She calls herself Suzanne the Magician. She was one of the people who presented on Penn and Teller's Fool Us, who actually fooled them. And she told me a story of they hired her to go on this cruise, and that it was a booze cruise, and they had no lights, and yeah, so she told everybody to turn their cell phone the lights on and shine them on her so she could do her magic in enough light for them to see. Fast forward to when I went to the Biltmore estate in Asheville, North Carolina, and we were rehearsing and practicing the day before, and they did such an amazing job. They built bleachers and stands for me, and they built a stage for Marianne to sing on, and they had this massive sound system, and they had just this beautiful venue, but the lights kept going out. And so I said, you got to fix this. And they said, oh, I think they're on a timer. We'll make sure. So they guaranteed me the lights would not go out. Right in the middle of the performance, the lights went out. But I remembered, Suzanne's thing. And I said, everybody turn on your cell phone flashlights. And we finished the thing by cell phone light.
Oh, cool.
And Bill Cecil, bless his heart, he's the heir apparent to the Biltmore estate. His mother was a Vanderbilt, and he was out there with a little handheld flashlight right next to me. He's a remarkable human being, so generous and so thoughtful. But this idea, you make it work, whatever it takes to get through it.
Adjust to fit the situation, right? And it applies in so many things in our life. Yeah.
You're well lit now, Molly, by the way.
Oh, good.
No, I can't see anybody, but yeah.
Yeah, Molly, speak up, because you get the screen from me here, and so we can see you.
You want me to? I can say.
There you
something.
go.
There.
La, la, la.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Now we can see you. It's great. It's great. So
Oh, Cezanne, very smart, Cezanne.
many hands make light work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an incredible.
Ba-dum-bum.
That is an incredible play on words. 2 thumbs up for the pun.
I just got it. I'm slow. That was awesome, Cezanne.
Very sharp.
Wonderful. So do we have any more questions? Because we're going to get ready to wrap up tonight. See, I've been making our online and Liberty sessions much shorter than I used to, because David, you probably speak to that question and what she said with that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's ask the people who come here. I mean, I have a lot of horses, so but it's 10, 15 minutes. That's maximum. And I remember Bruce Logan. You guys remember Bruce Logan?
I
He was
do.
one of our instructors, and so he had shown up from La Sance. He was working at La Sance, and he came down to Pagosa Springs, and we're in a class with Pat with all the instructors. Now, Pat is a very powerful energy, and when Pat says, okay, we're going to do lead changes down this lane, for 20 minutes, you do lead changes down the lane for 20 minutes. You just you get swept up in the power of his requests. And so I think we're doing canter strides, like how many canter strides can you get between this line and this line? And everybody's, the horses are getting more and more, trying to get more energy into smaller space. And I looked over and Bruce Logan sitting on the fence and with his horse next to him. And I rode over and I said, everything okay? He goes, oh yeah, it's a young horse. I just, she'd had enough. And I thought, yeah, that's an obvious thing, but it's not obvious in the face of the pressure, the peer pressure, and the pressure of your boss telling you need to be doing this. To just say, oh, I'm thinking about my horse first. So I always remember that moment that even when somebody's pressing you to do stuff, you can easily say, no, that's enough for this horse for now, for today. He's learned enough. And if you really, if you're that person that just, 15 minutes, that's nowhere near enough, go get a mini because they never stop. They just go, or get more horses. So you can do 5 minutes with one horse, 5 minutes with another horse, 5 minutes with another horse. Then you come back around and the first horse is ready again. He's fresh. Sometimes they even ask, right? You're playing with the fourth horse and the first one's coming over going, hey, pick me. Hey. So yeah, so shorter sessions, absolutely.
One of the things that came up, it seems obvious, but it came up for me over the years of learning and also studying learning for itself, because that's part of what, thankfully, Linda and Pat realized that they're in adult learning. And so we were doing that even outside, beyond the horsemanship, was that as a student, how do we learn? And if we aren't thinking about our horse as a student, then we're not serving them.
Yes, exactly. I noticed that the horse behind Heather hasn't moved in 30 minutes. So I'm just wondering how she taught the horse to have so much patience.
Where's it? Let me see if I can find Heather.
I'll have to update my picture.
Oh, I see Heather's. Yeah, that's cool. That's a neat background.
I think
cool.
I think in Zoom we're going to have movies behind us soon, so that you can have
put-
the horse. You can have the horse doing stuff.
I can put a video behind me.
Really?
Oh,
Excellent.
wow.
I have a green screen, but I haven't used it. I did it in the boat video. If you've seen the boat video that I made with Pepino, and he travels through ice and storms and the desert, sandstorms to try to get to the mailbox to get the boat out of his mail-in ballot. And I was inspired by Randy Rainbow, who does amazing green screen stuff from his little room in Brooklyn, New York. So I said, what the heck, I'm going to try it. It's not that difficult, but it is also extremely difficult to get the angles and everything right. But it was so much fun. But I have the green screen. I think if I hung it back here, we could put anything behind me. Eiffel Tower. We could even put Snohomish, Washington up there.
Valerie Simpson asked, do you ever see one horse get jealous of the time you spend with another horse?
Yes, obviously, yes. Not obviously, yes. Often, yes.
Often,
yeah. So I don't know, ascribing jealousy that may be too anthropomorphic, but what we see is that the horse feels like he's missing out on something, so he wants to play. So I don't think he's thinking, I wish that other horse would go away so that I could be there. I think he's just thinking, hey, that looks like a good deal. I want to join in. So we can create by offering something. We can motivate an unmotivated horse sometimes by offering something really valuable to another horse without asking for very much in return. And hey, that horse over there is getting fed for for looking to the left. I mean, I can do that. Hello. So yeah, they do. In the system, especially when you use a lot of positive reinforcement, they want to play. They're standing at the gate. They're pawing not to get out, but to get in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How remarkable.
That stupid story about how when I used to be on the road, as a musician, and they put us up in a hotel room, and in the middle of the night, just pounding on my door, this girl, from one of the band groupies, pounding on my door. So finally, I had to get up and let her out.
Great.
Yeah. So
All right,
we want the horses pounding on the door, get in, not to get out.
Yeah, perhaps
not trying to jump the fence to get out, but trying to jump the fence to come in and be with you.
One of the last questions I'd like to ask, David, because I like.
He's shutting it down because my stories are getting a little.
Well, we're also at it. We're also. I promise everybody that at 8:30 on the West Coast, because I know Ada sometimes wants to go to bed. She's 4 hour.
She never sleeps. Ada never sleeps.
Oh, Ada's only sleeps.
She's a force of nature. She's like a thunderstorm that just goes all night.
Yeah, we have at least 4 time zones on this call, so I try to be mindful about everybody needing to go to bed. One of the things that I heard the other day was we really, would you say, David, that we really haven't been playing with horses at Liberty that long, in that we've really, part of the revolution is so many more people choosing in to play with their horse?
I think Pat had a lot to do with that. The his initial mentors, did basically the hooking on, they would call it, in the round pen, getting the horse to hook on and follow him around. They didn't do much more with it. I think Pat, like his total creativity, said, "Hey, look, there's tons more we could do with this," and I think that's where the revolution in horsemanship, in this genre, I think Pat had a lot to do with that, because Liberty is one of his foundation elements, is 4 legs on the table, right? That online Liberty, freestyle, and finesse, and they should be equal. And so I think he's responsible for creating so much of this Liberty stuff. It's always been done. People have been doing it in shows, people, circuses, and the rare individuals would be doing stuff with horses without ropes. But I think he's really the one that popularized it, and I owe big debt of gratitude for that to him.
Well, that's wonderful. I will keep this stuff coming, because I have a passion for sharing just the way that you two do, and I just love being able to welcome some of the masters on the planet who are doing really great things for horses. So in closing, David and Molly, thank you so much for being here. And I'll let you guys have the last word.
Oh, I hate this.
Onward.
Onward.
I hate the pressure. It's too much pressure. One word, just
One word,
savvy.
David.
Savvy.
There we go.
I love it.
Thanks, Andrew.
All right, well,
Thank
thank you,
you.
everybody. It's been wonderful, and I'm so glad that everybody could be on the call. I'll just turn on a little music on the way out, some Marianne Kennedy. I'm happy to have all you guys.
If it's got to go feed my horses, that's exactly what I'm doing right now. 8:30, they want to be fed.
All right.
Thanks, Molly.
All right.
Thanks, Andrew.
Bye-bye, everybody.
See you guys.
Thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful night, and may the horse be with you.
Who is the person I need to be for you to want to stay with me?